What is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. And today we're actually going to be looking at the new SSR Lilium in the archives. Before she comes out, her banner is actually supposed to be running in about 30 hours as of this recording, and she is now updated in the archive with the patch. And also we have the new SR character Nilu. Her name was Nell in the preview, so they changed her name. But basically they released the multipliers and the turn meter push percentages and stuff like that. And you're going to see that these characters might be insane. Now let's actually start off with the SSR character, Liliam. So Liliam, right away, you're going to see that her base stats are very, very high. You're going to see that her speed is 125, which is insanely high. If you compare it with something like Lily, she's only 2 speed lower, which is going to be crazy because she's a single target nuker, right? She has very high single target damage on basically all of her abilities, and she's going to be super, super fast. Now, if we actually look at her base attack, it's 1241. If you actually compare it to something like a Dieting, which people use, it is going to be considerably higher, right? So basically, she has very high base attack and very high base speed, which is very, very scary. And the scariest part is her S3 multipliers. So her multipliers on her S1, pretty normal. 260% damage, right? You heal 60% of the damage dealt, which is great. You'll also see that the S2 multiplier isn't the craziest thing. Mostly not going to be for the damage, but for the execute, it's going to be pretty good because the damage will go up for every percent HP that they have missing. But the biggest thing is going to be in her S3 Flash Lightning. So before the attack even lands, you get a attack and speed buff, which is going to be insane. And attack buff will, of course, increase your damage even further. But the biggest thing is the damage that it just deals outright. 500% single target damage. And if you hit something with more than 60% health, which is going to be most of the time because you're usually S3ing first anyways, and because you're fast, you're going to be able to hit things before your teammates do. So you're most likely going to be proccing this 60% or more HP threshold pretty much every single time, especially in PvP. And you're going to see that this will increase the final damage by 50%. So basically, this attack is going to be doing 750% damage, and then you're also having this attack buff on top of it. To make matters even better, if you actually hit something with a shield, you completely ignore the shield, and you'll also seal, which is basically the same as injury from Epic 7, where you reduce max HP, equal to 50% of the damage dealt. And, you know, people knew that this HP seal was going to be a mechanic based off the damage you deal, but because she deals such high single target damage on her S3, this is going to be crippling for health scaling bruisers, and honestly anything that, you know, just stacks a lot of health. So like Tiamats, a lot of, you know, healers such as like Sonya and Ling Luo will get affected very, very heavily by this, and this might be one-shotting a lot of characters before you even worry about this HP seal. And if you want to compare how much damage this is basically 750% damage, right, with an attack buff. The speed buff doesn't factor into your damage, but because she's already super fast, she'll cycle very quickly. 750% damage with an attack buff. Dieting's damage on his S3 into S1 is 450%. He S1's right after because of the extra effect, so it's going to be 260. That is going to be 710%, right? So 40% lower than Liliam's, but Liliam also gets an attack buff, so she doesn't need another attack buffer, right? So this makes her even better. She's going to be doing even more damage than listed, so in PvP she's going to be a crazy character. You're going to be able to build her in so many ways. You can build her in cleave, you can build her in control, you can probably play her in bruiser as well in like a bloodbath set because she has built-in sustain, and because this HP seal is going to be a crazy mechanic against bruiser, you know, standard matchups. So because of that, you know, people were really worried about how strong she would be, and I think everyone's response was, we have to wait till we see her multipliers, we have to see her damage, her numbers. That will really decide how good she is. She looks crazy. Her damage multipliers look insane. You can pretty much put her on bloodbath in a tank shell like Lighthouse, and she'll still do crazy damage because her base stats are crazy and her multipliers are going to be crazy as well. Also, you know, the big thing is that, you know, her base HP isn't the highest. Something like a regular tank is like 16.4k. On Tiamat, if we look at something like a Rahu who scales with defense, his is actually lower, but his defense is a lot higher at 948. But Liliam's HP and defense are going to be on the lower side, so it will be harder to build her on a bruiser type of build. but I think if you commit to it, it will still be good because she has built-in lifesteal. That's like the biggest thing for her. Even though her defenses and her, just her health and defense is lower than other traditional bruisers, because she has this lifesteal built in, and because she has like a stun and the ability to cycle quickly with a speed buff, I think she'll be really good as a bruiser character as well. So yeah, she looks pretty insane at first glance. Obviously, we have to wait for it to release and test her out to confirm, but the multipliers are definitely helping her case that, she's going to be pretty strong, borderline OP, if not really broken. So now let's look at the SR character. So a lot of people were saying that this is going to be, well, I guess I was saying it's going to be like the alternative to Lily if you don't have her. Literally the same element. So in Rengokutsu, you just slaughter in where you would with Lily. And you're going to see that she looks pretty crazy as well. So obviously her damage never really mattered. We already knew that her damage would be, not the biggest thing because you're not going to build it on her anyways. But she has 80% chance to apply vulnerable, which is great. Obviously, it's not as good as 100%, and it only hits one time, so it'll miss more than you'd think. But 80% base chance is not the worst thing in the game. And of course, the speed buff is going to be great for your team. So very, very good. We also have her S2. So this is the big thing people were wondering. Okay, so her S2 hits 4 times, it heals, it also pushes your turn meter. What is the percentage on that? What are the numbers? Well, here they are. Basically, you heal 48% of their max HP with your S2 because it's 12% 4 times. So it's basically a half health heal, which is insane, honestly. And also, you push their turn meter by 80%. So that is crazy, crazy good. Lily's S2 turn meter push is going to be 20%. Hers is 20% as well, but 4 times, so it's 80%. And they both have a speed buff, right? The only thing you're really giving up with Lily is the fact that Lily can actually do a lot of things better, honestly, where she can, use her hat trick, her S1 to assist with the twin trick target and also even reduce their skill and shell cooldowns. But honestly, I think for a SR free-to-play alternative, Nilu, I guess Nell/Nilu, I guess it's Nilu now, looks like a very solid replacement because, her modifier, not her modifiers, but her numbers look pretty good as well in terms of turn meter pushing. The only downside I'd have to say is that her speed is pretty low, 116 compared to 127 Lily's, so she won't be nearly as fast. So Lily will definitely still be better. But the fact that she can actually apply this vulnerable debuff is huge as well, like I mentioned in the past, because you're just making the enemies take 30% more damage. And if you can actually stack this with something like a Kloss can put on hacking progress into Hacken, which is extra damage taken, and then defense down and speed down. And even if you don't have Lily, you are getting a lot of benefits from having Nilo on your team because she provides that crucial speed buff that Lily provides while also applying, vulnerable for your team and also pushing your teammates' meter and also giving them health as well, which is going to be a bonus in like Aurora. The only thing is, I really wish actually her S1, instead of this vulnerable, it had like a turn meter push for herself, like Green Sonya. That would make her a lot better. But, having this vulnerable is nice as well because you can actually reapply it. But the reason why I say that is because the S3 cooldown's already very low at 3 turns. So you're going to have vulnerable up on the boss or whatever you're hitting pretty much all the time. So basically, I think you're going to build her on like a speedy effect accuracy build because you're probably just going to want to land a lot of debuffs. And I think for Lilium, this, like I mentioned before when we were talking about her, there's going to be a lot of ways to build her, but, her damage looks crazy, so I don't think you can go wrong with either way. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about their multipliers and their stats. Like I mentioned, we do have to test them out to actually make sure, but at first glance, looking at their numbers, they look pretty crazy, especially Lilium. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.